How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We have the Champions Cup finals this weekend, Saturday, 2:45, Northampton Saints versus Bordeaux. This is going to be a crazy final. And in this video, I want to break down who I feel is going to win, who is potentially going to be coming in as favorite squads, recent performances, and I want to hear from you guys. Who is your favorite? Who are you coming in to support, and who do you think is going to come away as winners? So first up, I want to break down Bordeaux before I go into the Northampton Saints. Honestly, Bordeaux are very scary. When you look at their backs, they have been rotating quite a lot of late. I don't know. They want to rest their players like Mofana. I don't know what's going to be happening with Damien Penaud. Jalibert, he's just an absolute phenom. The guy, he's playing a lot. He's getting himself really fit, ready to go. And honestly, this is going to be scary because the Bordeaux backs are so fierce and they are so quick on how they move the ball around, especially having players like Matthieu Jalibert. That partnership, that halfback pairing that they have really is scary, because not only Matthieu, we saw him in the Six Nations, we saw how quick he's able to move that ball. We also see how alert he is at every single response, and then using his kicking game to break everything down. It is very scary. So having him, Jalibert, Mofana, Penaud, Jalibert, and even if Penaud doesn't play, they still have Echigare, which again, the guy, he is an absolute lightning bolt. The guy is wicked fast, and it's going to be something to marvel at, right? But we look at their performance. Yes, they have not been amazing. Yes, they did come off of a pretty solid win, 34-29 up against Castres, and honestly, they are letting points through. They are letting points through because we look at the squads and we look at Castres. Yes, they're currently sitting in 6th, but they were at points they found it relatively easy to break down Bordeaux. And we look at how they use the channels, how they use that presence. And the Saints are a very strong side. They have a lot of power forwards, and they got a lot of brilliant carrying ability, right? So I do feel that Bordeaux is kind of in the same boat as Northampton Saints to a certain degree, where they are very elite when it comes to their backs, but at times they seem to be lacking in their forwards. And if they are able to withstand the initial barrage, because I know Bordeaux, they are going to be coming in strong, heavy, fast. I mean, look at the game between Montpellier and Bordeaux. They figured them out relatively quickly, but that initial burst was always scary. And I think this is something that is going to be a case of the Saints are going to have to be very cautious in how they play and how they defend. And they need to be putting special attention into those wings, because at any moment we could see a Jalibert chip and chase, right? And that is where things really start to get dangerous. But ultimately, we look at the Montpellier game. It finished 46-27 to Montpellier. Yes, Bordeaux were playing away, but this is a big scoreline, and we're looking at a lot of the scorelines that they've been having. A majority of the teams have all gotten above 20 points past them. So we look at Castres, 29 points, Montpellier, 46 points. They ended up beating Toulouse 35-18, but Toulouse still managed to put through 18 points. La Rochelle, Bordeaux lost 21-10. And then Pau, I believe it was Pau, they still ended up, they beat Pau 26-22, but Pau was still able to get over 20 points to them. So it's not necessarily this amazing, run where they are killing people by 30, 40, 50 points. And honestly, the Saints have a very strong back team. The backs are very strong, very experienced. They're very explosive. And then having someone like Finn Smith is going to be very interesting. So Bordeaux, they have all the talent that that is needed. They really, really do. Because, I mean, we look at Tameifuna, Tatafu, Matthieu Jalibert, Van Rensburg. As a back, he's just, wow. The guy is bloody phenomenal. And then, the backs are really scary, especially when you have a player like Romain Burros as well, who's absolutely phenomenal. So they really have star-started players throughout the team, but it's going to come down to a physical fight and how well the Saints can nullify Bordeaux. If Bordeaux are stopped early tracks, if they manage to keep a handle on Maxime Lucu, we could potentially see a Saints win, right? But by no means is it going to be an easy game, because they move that ball so quick, straight off the breakdown. The moment a player is getting tackled, he has 5, 6, 7 players in that ruck, clearing out space, and then you have Maxime Lucu. I swear, at points, it literally feels like he just appears exactly where he needs to be. So his positioning is on point. His ability to control pace, tempo, pressure as well. The guy is ridiculously good. And again, we look to the Six Nations, where everybody was kind of thinking, oh no, Dupont is gone. What are we going to do? Maxime Lucu said, don't worry, I'm here. And just bloody killed it. So that is the power of Lucu. So, and he's been in brilliant form. He's been in absolutely brilliant form. So I don't know. Bordeaux is going to be a feisty one. But now we move on into Northampton Saints, because this is one, I don't want to, I try to be as unbiased as possible. Looking at their games, and this is something that I always say with Northampton, is oftentimes when they are playing, it's a potluck on which team is going to be showing up. But honestly, recently, that potluck is changing. It really, really is changing. We are seeing a change happen. And especially in the Champions Cup, we are starting to see more consistency. We are starting to see more leaders show up on the field. We are starting to see a much better motivation to win. We are starting to see a much more resilient squad. We look at what happened with the Saracens. They were down 24-7. They were down 24-7. Managed to get like 3 tries in the last 20 minutes. Yes, the penalty try is debatable. Right, I don't know about the decision making from the ref, but ultimately, Egg Chasers actually said the best. Tim, if you are in a position where you are having to complain about the ref's decision on a try, you quite obviously have not done enough and deserve it. Right, so the Saints deserve to win. They put up the pressure. They did everything they possibly could, and they put so much pressure on the Saints in the last 20 minutes that they buckled. Right? So the Saints have become very, very resilient, coming from behind to still win. That takes a little extra something, right? Where we look at the Saints in the first half of the season, there was no sign of that. I don't know if it's this run of the Champions Cup going into the finals. Henry Pollock just getting into ridiculous form. Obviously, ended up being called up for the England squad. Ended up being called up as a British and Irish Lion, and now he's just building this momentum. And he's got a strong head on him. But also having players like Warden Augustus, Kameni, your Alex Mitchell, Finn Smith, bloody Tommy Freeman. All of these players are really pulling up their socks and saying, you know what, we can do this. We can do this. And even though the Saints are sitting in 8th in the Premiership, I feel winning this Champions Cup would make the season a success. Yes, there are going to be a lot of changes. There are going to be players like Maya Vanua who's going to end up leaving, which I am sad to see. But, seeing a player like Simone Ferrari coming in, I can't wait to see Simone Ferrari as a Saint. So it's going to be interesting to see how things are going to change. Players coming in, players going out, but the core group is staying. And those backs are ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Yes, we are seeing, I believe Tom Seabrook, he is going to be leaving as well. But next year having a player like players like Hendy, Furbank coming back, already having Freeman come back, Pearson, and then you having your Alex Mitchell, Finn Smith, and so on. They are going to be a much stronger side next year. But now it's going to come down to this final, right? We all know the Saints are going to be putting in everything that they possibly can to win. But everybody is playing with confidence. Everybody's playing with drive. And honestly, in that Saracens game, it was the bench that really, really made the difference. Because although there were the Saints bench wasn't like an elite bench, like a Leinster bench. But it was everybody that was willing to die for that team at that day. That really helped. They all wanted a shot. They all wanted to be seen and be potentially picked for this finals. Everybody wanted to be seen, put in the spotlight, and they just gave their all. And that's how we ended up getting the win. A lot of pressure, a lot of motivation, people dying, putting themselves on the line to get everything that they possibly can out of this game. Now, the Saints are going to be running heavy in this Bordeaux game. Because the way that Bordeaux, they run out the ball, they manage to move it from the outside. They'll get it out, they'll bring it back in, try and play an inside channel, and then magically it's already back out. And then you have someone like Biel that's just willing to sprint. That defensive line needs to be solid. It needs to be solid. They need to hold position, and they need to try and be as fluid as possible to the runs of like Mofana, who is such a brilliant ball carrier. Damien Penaud, another brilliant ball carrier. Van Rensburg, another brilliant ball carrier. So all of these people are going to be gaining meters, and you're going to find that ruck forming, you're going to find that phase play, and then they're going to be whipping it back out. And this is going to, it's going to open up space. So if Northampton are able to control that pace, control that pressure, keep a good solid line, filling up any gaps, and having players tactically understanding everything that they need to do, I feel we can see a Saints win. And I would love nothing more than to see the Saints win a Champions Cup, because yes, they've had a shit season, but my word, would it be amazing to see them win the Champions Cup. It really, really would. And what a way to send off Trocky. Warno Augustus, I love the man. I'm so sad to see him leave. He has now been called up for the second alignment camp. And I can definitely see him playing for the Springboks. It's just sad to see him let it go. But when you have a player like Henry Pollock and all these other, brilliant youngsters coming through the ranks, that sting doesn't hurt as much. It just doesn't hurt that much, right? But personally, I think we are going to be seeing obviously full stud squads from both sides. But I do feel the Saints need to come out strong. And if they aren't able to control that pace that Bordeaux sets on them, because we all know Bordeaux are going to want to set that pace on them really, really, really quickly and gain that territory. They want to get them boxed into that 22 meters, inside that 22 meters, and then they want to play phase play. They're going to wear them out and then run it through the ends. So the Saints need to wear it out. They need to manage it, and then use those breaks. Use Tommy Freeman's strength and his physicality, right? His brilliant mindset on how to work out, around those channels, right? And then we are going to need to be seeing Finn Smith's kicking game on point, because using those up and unders, Freeman is such a strong player in the air, right? Gain territory, continue to keep possession. Honestly, I do feel Bordeaux is going to have more possession, but to get that territory and to use it is going to be key. It's going to be key in this game. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. What do you think? Who do you think is going to play? And what do you think the score is going to be? I am going to go for a very high scoring game. I think this is just going to be one of those final classics that there's just, they're going to leave everything on the pitch. They're going to be crawling, they're going to be crawling off the pitch, puking on the sidelines, just dead, like dead. I'm going to go for a 38-32 win. No. 38-33. 38-33 to the Saints. And I'm giving Freeman to score 2. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I want to hear what your thoughts are. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.